Hello again, my friend, and welcome to episode 3 of the Watch Orakix Designer Interview Series. Today, I bring you Taylor Cornelius, the Cyberpunk himself. If you watched last episode, you know that there was one question that I was dying to ask him, so let's get straight to it. Good to see you, man. How have you been?
Good. Thanks, Darren. It's good to be here talking with you.
Yeah, for sure. So straight off the bat, I don't know if you watched the whole interview with Generator Studios, but um, I promised everybody I had one question for you, and that was how on earth do you get all of your faces to be so on point with your brand that as soon as you see it, you know it's yours? Like, like I don't even want to start with your day job or where are you from. Like, I gotta know that question. How do you do it?
Yeah, man. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not like I'm not a brand guy. Like I know, a little bit about it and from the marketing world, but basically the thing I try to do every time I'm making a face is like, does it look like someone from the future might be wearing this face or like a time traveler? Um, I want like a very specific like futuristic aesthetic, whatever that means, and somehow I just kind of have pulled it off. I think I think I use a lot of the same shapes and forms. I think that helps too, but overall I want that like futuristic-y retro kind of mashup look whenever I'm designing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had no idea where you were gonna go with that question, and it's just like blowing my mind every time I see one of your faces. So I was like, I just gotta know. But actually, now that you like the way you explain it, it makes perfect sense, though.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, totally. So anyway, now where are you from? Like, let's actually know who you are for a minute.
Cool. So yeah, my real name's Taylor Cornelius. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived in Georgia my whole life. Um, I don't know. I don't have a southern accent, I don't think. Uh, but yeah, Georgia's where I hail.
Is it just because you spend so much time online, you don't have the accent?
I like to think it's because my parents are from the north.
Oh
So
yeah.
like, I don't know. But yeah, I try and hide it.
All right. So what do you do for a living besides making watch face?
Yeah. So I'm like a UX UI designer by day. So the company I'm at now, they kind of do house flips at a um, institutional level. So like massive portfolios, and there's all these internal departments and teams because we handle from construction to maintenance to property management, and all these teams need products, apps, websites. So I do the user experience design and really kind of the graphic design as well for them. UI, all of that mixed together.
Right on. At first, I wasn't quite sure what that was when I saw it like on your Slack profile, but that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the UX is basically I try and gather data about who the end user is going to be of a product and try and design it to fit their needs and goals.
Oh, nice. I just realized you can't see it, but my glass is very, very green. So every time I drink, it's gonna straight up disappear.
It's
Awesome.
gone.
All right. Things that you learn when you're streaming. Get a frosted glass or something.
There you go.
um, so that's pretty cool. I mean, so now I'm realizing so far we've got a trend that all three people that I've interviewed so far work as graphic designers.
Yep.
I'm curious at how many people I'm going to end up running across that didn't do it as a career, like myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. So then, how did you get into watch face design? Then just the same old. You got your own watch, and then you were like, I could do this.
Yeah, it's similar to how Generator described it. I saw a guy at work who had the Gear S3 and thought it looked really cool. Just the hardware, the bezel, really caught my eye about it. But have never been a watch guy. Like I own, that's my only watch. I don't own any watches like Nathan or a lot of other you guys like who are kind of the like watch fanatics. I just liked it. I bought it. Was trying to figure out how to get other faces, and then discovered Facer. Put a couple free ones on, and then thought, I could probably do this. And then yeah, just started doing really basic stuff in Illustrator, very flat, like just one color. Um, and then a couple months later, I got an email from Ariel about joining the partner program. So I was pretty stoked about that. Um, really just stoked that people appreciated my shit anyway, because I was really just designing stuff that I wanted to wear,
Mm-hmm.
not really intending other people to like it. But then once the syncs started going up and people commenting positive things, it felt really good.
Right on. So it wasn't something that you were like, I see this as an opportunity and I'm gonna pursue being a partner. They just kind of reached out to you and said, "We like your stuff. We want you to work with us."
Exactly. Yeah. I was just kind of making stuff that I was wanting to wear. But then it did, like, I kept doing things. Like I didn't just make one, thought, "Oh, I'll just quit." I just kept
Right.
producing them because I guess I got that like buzz from people actually like downloading them.
Yeah, it's kind of addicting once you start making watches. It's really fun to kind of push your knowledge and push your skills and see where you can actually go with it.
Yeah, totally.
Right on. So, do you have like a favorite style of watch to design? I mean, obviously you have that like futuristic look, but do you prefer to kind of swing more like analog or digital or stay kind of in the hybrid area or
I like the digital. I think I can pull off a more futuristic look, I'd say. Plus, I'm just a fan of reading digital time. I don't like having to think more about what the hand positions are at. Although I do envy people like Nathan, um, who can just make beautiful analog watches. I've made a few, but I don't know. It's another kind of skill level, I think, to make a great looking analog watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely has, it's different elements. I mean, it's all just a watch, but it's
Hmm.
very different elements when you're working with, the two. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a very good digital guy, so I I know what you're feeling like, but from the opposite end of the spectrum. Um, so then, do you have like a favorite smartwatch? Like, is it just the S3? That one is just the one that you are in love with, or do you have some other ones out there that you think that you would like to get your hands on someday?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get whatever's kind of new and cool. Like I was debating whether I should get the S3 since it came out, but I'm content with it. I honestly like don't wear it that much, as shameful as that might sound. Like it's really never on my wrist. But I like the Armani.
The connected.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
use that a lot to preview my stuff and take screenshots. I really like how that looks.
Yeah, I like that one too. I'd like to get my hands on that. I think Nathan just got that recently. I was
Oh,
jealous.
nice. Awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, the next question is my favorite one. It's always going to be my favorite one, for now until forever. But what does your workflow look like? Like, what's your process to create these crazy futuristic faces?
Hmm. So, like, I might just have kind of like a flash of something. So, like, this one I'm working on right now, it's kind of trying to mimic like a look of like an alien ray gun or something, or like a kind of like a Fallout 4 style, like retro looking toy. kind of
Mm-hmm.
plastic. So I'll like think of something like that, like a concept, and then just try and go onto like Pinterest and look at things like ray guns to get more inspiration, and then sketch. I have like a dot sketchbook, so I'll use a compass tool, this thingy, to draw my circles. I have some stencils, so I'll just sketch a design in the sketchbook. Um, then usually create it in Illustrator. Just kind of looking at it, looking from the sketchbook, trying to recreate it. Not trying to get exactly how the sketch is. I know that it's going to evolve past a sketch. Um, and then in the past, I would have just stopped at Illustrator. I probably would have um, made the initial comp in like a grayscale until it was everything seemed to have a good position and everything seemed balanced, and then work with like color combinations. But Generator actually, like a month ago or so, he kind of challenged me to do stuff in Photoshop. So a lot of the faces, I'm not like a Photoshop pro. I'm way more used to Illustrator. But so now I'm like copying from Illustrator into Photoshop using some of the like adjustment layers and the blending options and stuff to make things look a little bit more real and less flat. And that's been cool. It's been cool to like learn more how to do stuff in Photoshop, because I should be learning how to use it more.
So you primarily an Illustrator guy for work, I assume then.
Well, actually, for work, I don't really work in either. I work in another Adobe program called XD. It stands for Experience Design, and that's to make like wireframes and clickable prototypes that you can test with people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so
I
right, go ahead.
was gonna say I didn't know that program existed.
Oh yeah, there's so many, man, right now. It's crazy. But yeah, Generator was talking this big game like Photoshop was so easy, but then I challenged him to like, well, you can't make like a complex shape with rounded corners, like, and that's like super easy in Illustrator. So I'm finding myself having to like go back to Illustrator, make a shape with rounded corners, and then copy it, bring it back into Photoshop to
Isn't there
apply the
just like a
effects.
one button click though that'll transfer it over if you have both programs?
There probably is. That sounds like
Something they
it
might do.
is.
I mean, I my Photoshop that I use is ancient, so it has a little button that goes from Photoshop over to Image Ready. I don't even know if Image Ready is still a thing, but
Mm,
um, I would
I
think
don't know.
that they would have something like that to where you could swap back and forth. I don't know. Maybe they don't. I haven't used
Uh,
any of the new Photoshops, so
Word. Yeah, I see myself doing some Googling tonight.
right. So then, where do you get your original inspiration from then? Like you said that you typically try to draw it in a sketchbook first. So where does that idea come from typically?
Um, I don't know. Like it's kind of just ideas pop into my head. Like I always want something to kind of have a story behind it or a narrative. So usually my descriptions of the watch faces, like they do no describing of the actual watch or the features. It's kind of like a story almost. Um, so like I don't know. The last collection I made was called Health, and it had a bunch of kind of medical looking faces that were very like clean and white, but also had like a little bit of the futuristic touch with like screens and digital readouts. And I think I just came up with like doing kind of medical looking faces. Uh, I think it just kind of like popped into my head, or I don't know. Like, I really couldn't tell you like why I wanted to start with the one I did. Yeah.
No worries.
Sometimes a mystery is just like something like an image or like some shapes will pop into my head, and I'll think, yeah, I could probably build a face off of that. Let me.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a loaded question because I mean everyone is gonna say inspiration can come from anywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
for sure. um, What do you think is like the hardest part about designing watch faces?
Hmm.
You're like it's all easy. I d- Y'all
No, I
suck. We're
think
I'm just amazing.
no, no. I think it's hard. Like unity and balance are hard. I think those are the hardest parts. Um, even even as early as a sketch, getting like the right things and the right balance together to make an interesting composition in such a small space. And then while also making it like adaptable to data and readable. I think that's probably the toughest thing. Um, a lot of my earlier faces, like I would just do a design and then kind of like plop the numbers on afterwards in like whatever space that was available. And I realized that it's probably not the best way to go about it because kind of that's really like the most important part, right? Whereas I was more focused on like, oh, is that a cool looking design?
Is that
So now,
pretty?
yeah, right. So now I take more time and I'm more like thoughtful about where the position of things is going.
Right on. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, trying to like be able to cram in a bunch of information with enough detail to make it pretty and then still have room for your eyes to rest is it's a big challenge for sure. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. Um so based on all this stuff that we've talked about so far, what kind of advice do you think you would give to other new designers?
Um, I think just try and be original. You know, I see so many designs that like if you put them in a lineup, I couldn't tell you who designed what if you like excluding their brand marks, right? So like I don't know. I think originality for me has been like the niche that I've exploited. Like I never expected to like be able to register the username Cyberpunk without like a couple of numbers tacked on or something. Like so that was cool that I could like, you know, carve out the space for these kind of futuristic designs. I know there's other people doing futuristic stuff, but at least sticking to a style and try and just develop it. Um and also just design for yourself, you know. Don't don't expect like people will love it. Just as long as you love it, then you're a winner too.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's funny because we talk about like, oh, this face is awesome. I'm so proud of it. I'm going to launch it like, in a couple days and I'm really excited to see how well it does and then it just like pops. And
Yeah,
then you got another one that you're just like, I'm not super pumped about this one, but I'm tired of messing with it, so I'm just gonna launch it. And then it's just like, boom, sinks out like the roof. You're just like,
for
all
real.
right,
That
all
that
right,
happens all the time. Yeah, I'm like, this one is badass. Like everyone's gonna love it, and it's just like ghost town. And then
right.
one that like I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to wear this. People are all over it. So that's the thing is like, you can't really tell how the wind's gonna blow one way or the other on these, and people are joining Facer all the time. So I kind of forget that like even my old stuff can like have a resurgence of popularity. I'm always kind of like, what's next? What's next? What's next? But people like, some of the first ones I ever made, which is cool.
Yeah, it's funny how those still pop up with like you get those little hearts and stuff, and you're just
Yep.
like, oh yeah, people are still finding those. That was a million years ago.
Right.
Um, so as far as like I mean, you don't seem to wear your watch too often. When you do, is it mostly just testing then? Or.
All right. Yes. Back to the process. Yes. So I will save out like PNGs periodically throughout the design and then sync those. But yeah, I'll wear the watch like if I'm going out or something. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a dream of mine to like just be wearing like see someone else in the world that has one of my designs and go up to him and be like, I made that. It's me. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, oh yes, I know him, he's me. So yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah,
That's
I do. Yeah, I wear it seldom, testing for sure.
that's a that's a good one. I like that. I'm gonna add that to my list of dreams that I'm chasing. I have quite a few. Obviously for me the first one was getting partnered, and that happened. So
Yep.
I have some more down the line I'm working on. I'm gonna add that one. I'd like to see that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like, wouldn't that be cool to see like somebody just randomly?
Yeah, and hopefully I'm wearing one of my Orakix shirts at the time too. So it's like, yo,
Right.
homie, check it out.
Can't deny it.
Or like I won't even notice that they have it because, I'm not paying attention to their wrist, but they see my logo and come show me that
Oh
they're
yeah.
wearing it. That'd be cool.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So do you have any other designers that you love? Like, you know, some some other designer, like pro designers that, inspired you?
Yeah. Let's see, I got a list here. So definitely Nathan Trafford, from a skill perspective. And Generator mentioned this, that like he's a classically trained graphic designer, but I just find that like his compositions are just like so crisp. Um, like with the analog faces for sure. Um, Not that I really like that kind of style, but I have to appreciate the skill, and the craft that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Generator stuff is awesome. His like frogman, uh, his frogman sniper face is like one of my favorites. Yeah, all his military style ones are pretty dope. Vader, he was an influence early on because he was doing some kind of futuristic designs. Um, Mike OB, he's really like coming out of the gate strong with a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, he is.
His
Yeah, I've got to get
compositions are
him up here
wild.
soon.
Yeah. um, Crushing it in the charts. But yeah, like every time he like comes up with like a crazy ass composition like 2 days, and I'm like, damn, dude. It's like just very out of the box thinking, and I love that. Um,
Yeah, the one thing I have to say about him is that he's one of those guys that I find myself always saying the same thing when I see his watch, and it is, I wish I thought of that. I
right.
wish I thought of that. I wish I thought of that. Because I mean,
Yeah.
he does those faces that are just kind of like the opposite of mine. I'm very Nathan-ish side. I'm very analog. I'm very like try to make it look as realistic as possible kind of situation. And then he comes out of the gate with something that looks realistic, but it's also futuristic, and it's like super packed with information, but it looks beautiful. It's just like
Yeah.
every time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He packs the information in, but it doesn't seem like overcrowded, and yeah, just the cleverness of things that he's done is just awesome.
Yeah, for sure. But that's
Yeah.
that's another you're another one of those guys that I look at that and like I'm very envious of your style, and that does that way that you're able to like create something that like doesn't exist but it looks like it exists. You know what I mean? Something
Cool.
different, something new, but it also looks like it's very like
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man.
yeah, for sure. Was there any other guys that you got on the list? If not,
Um,
we can move on.
yeah, no, I mean everyone's great. Like, I definitely got to appreciate Goss for having inspect mode on. I always leave inspect mode on my stuff. If anyone ever needs any like expressions, I probably copied them from someone else. So
Yeah, for sure. So do you have a favorite face specifically that's not yours, like an actual face, not just a designer?
um, the the Wootronic in the Slack channel,
Oh yeah.
um, he has made a couple really awesome ones. I think he was like, when I got into Facer, they had his stuff on the homepage because he did a lot of tutorial articles, and I don't know, like some HUD designs or like some kind of like spaceship cockpit stuff, and I was pretty blown away. So I think his faces are in some of my top. The Goss airlock one is fucking insane. The Frogman sniper from Generator is pretty cool. Um, so yeah.
Right on. So which one of your faces is your favorite, or is it too hard to pick one?
The favorite, my favorite is the Red Temple. Um, I think it was one of the. I think I put it in the Google Drive folder, so it's one of those. But it's been pretty popular, and I don't know, like I love the composition. I love the amount of data I was able to squeeze in that's still readable, and it just looks cool to me. So that's probably my favorite face I've made so far. Like I normally don't wear the same face twice, right? It's like I'm always like making the next one and I wear that one.
Right.
But that one I've found that I will go back to and put it on sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I have Facer Premium, and I have the option to just download whatever, and I find myself never actually doing it because I'm always testing. There's
Yeah.
the newest one is always on my watch, just to make sure you can read it and it's working, and no bugs in it.
Yeah.
You get that.
Yeah. Well, I feel ashamed that I've never really gotten anyone else's faces other than myself or the first couple that I like started with on Facer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't think anyone's too upset about it. I mean, when you're focused on designing and you're pumping out faces all the time, it's understandable. So just kind of wrap this up then. I'm just gonna kind of end it where I did with Generator. Just do you have any kind of questions for me?
Oh yeah, man. I'm curious what you do for a living because you do stuff in Blender, but I'm not sure like.
Nothing digital related at all. Um, so I actually uh, I manage a grooming salon for dogs, and I've been
Nice.
grooming dogs for 15 years.
Heck yeah.
So it is vastly different, but I mean it's still artistic in a way. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's basically, just rinse and repeat, but there are certain haircuts and stuff that I can do that I get to kind of play around with artistically, and so that part's kind of fun. But yeah, I've been doing it for a very long time, and it's very hard on your body, and so
Yeah.
that's kind of why I'm so focused on my brand right now, is trying to find a way out of that industry. But I do love it. I've grown quite fond of it, and I'm a leader, so I'm very close with my team, and that part I would definitely miss if I moved on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I do. Completely not related to any kind of watches or design or any of the stuff that I do on this side.
Gotcha. So then follow up to that, how did you start doing the 3D stuff?
So when I originally started Facer, I was all about Photoshop. When I was in high school, I basically took every computer class available.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned Photoshop there, and then I kind of just did it for fun, kind of like, just digital painting here and there. And I used to design web pages and write code for HTML, but that was kind of through high school and right out of high school. So about 17 years or so now that I've been using Photoshop, and so I basically started designing faces there. But ultimately, I just looked at it and I was like, this looks good, but I mean, if I'm gonna make the most, like, my like niche, I guess you could say, is to try to make the most realistic looking faces that I can,
Mm-hmm.
so that when you look at your watch, it looks like a real mechanical.
Right.
Um, so I'm like, okay, so how can I do that better? And I just said, well, the best way to make a 3D object look or like an object look 3D is to make it in 3D and then take a picture of it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start learning 3D, and Blender was free, so I just started
Yep.
there, and um, grinding out 2 years of teaching myself Blender, and this is where I'm at now. And I'm always gonna have to point to Gauze for that and say, I'm chasing him always.
Yeah.
Um, he's top dog when it comes to the actual 3D design, and so he pushes me to just push myself essentially, and
Hmm.
so that's kind of how I got going down that road.
That's awesome. I will definitely be interested when you get around to interviewing him.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I'm very interested too. I got to reach out to him and see. I mean, there's so many great people and artists and
right.
stuff, and so I'm kind of been trying to start with the people that didn't have like a written interview through Facer, like the original interview
Right.
series. Um, so I'm kind of trying to aim for some of the newer guys there, and I'll kind of start weaving in some of the other guys that already have those in. So I am looking forward to getting to talk to him, and also GRR, because he when I first started, he was like you know I mean, he still is top dog in Facer, but he was
Yep.
like my idol. Like, this guy is amazing. I love
Yep.
every piece he does, and so I'm really excited to get to talk to him just from like a fanboy stance. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Heck yeah. Yeah. He's another guy like Nathan that just like everything is precise and intentional.
yeah,
It's
for
awesome.
sure.
Well, dude, I think you got the 3D stuff down. Like, I love your shit, and I think like yeah, pursue it beyond faces, pursue it into other stuff. Like, I'd love to be able to like say I know some Blender.
Yeah, well, and once I can get this whole interview process kind of hammered down and routine, and I can, get like a good sequence of coming out like regularly, and where I have some extra time, I'm definitely going to start moving down into the tutorials and tips section. So I'll throw some like Blender tips out there, but the tutorials are
Nice.
probably a ways out. But yeah, eventually I do want to get to that point where I could teach people how to use Blender as well, because it's incredibly powerful, obviously. But
Yeah. Heck
but
yeah.
yeah, I am trying to kind of branch out a little bit and do some other stuff. I did some logos for my sister and some animations for her like YouTube channel, and
All right.
as you should be able to see at this point right now, it's just a green screen, so I can't see it. But when you watch this video right now, you're seeing all the cool animated stuff in the background that I did with Blender. So I'm gonna keep pushing that as hard as I can, and yeah, try to kind of branch out and just this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
like professionally, is just 3D art and stuff. And um, apparently, I'm a 3D animator now, as you can see.
Yeah. You can claim it. That's for sure.
All right. Well, man, is there anything else you want to talk about before I let you go?
Um, oh, I don't think so, dude. This has been awesome. I'm really I was really excited to do this, and I really appreciate you spearheading all this and leading it and owning it. It's been
Yeah,
awesome.
it's honestly, it's my pleasure. I mean, I I see all you guys' work. I'm constantly talking to you guys, so it's really cool to be able to like have a face and talk to you directly about some cool stuff, and be able to share that with people, and hopefully you guys, everybody out there, learn something. Speaking of which, if you enjoyed this show, if you got some value out of it, please hit that like button. If you want more interviews and videos like this, consider that subscribe button. um but yeah, honestly, thank you for coming and talking with me, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk soon, and maybe someday I'll be able to get you on for teach us something else. Um,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
awesome. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you later, dude.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, later.
Bye.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us for episode 3. I know that in the past I have announced the next person in line, but this time I'm going to leave it as kind of a mystery. I'm currently trying to get like ahead of the game, so I'm doing 3 interviews at once, and I'm just going to start releasing them when I finish them. So if you enjoyed this interview and you want more, consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell so you don't miss any others. Also, if you found value or learned something, please hit that like button and consider sharing to help other people find this great advice. As always, take care. I appreciate you for joining us, and I look forward to meeting you in the next episode. See you later, guys. Once again, thank you so much for joining us in this